So what we're going to do today is make a schematic symbol and a PCB library, um, and link them together. Link the footprint and the symbol together for the schematic. So I'm going to hit Add New to Project Schematic Library, and then come up here. It automatically makes Component 1. We don't want it to be called Component 1. We're using this guy here. So I'm going to copy this manufacturer part number. Come up here and rename it from Component 1 to that, and I'll call it, it's a 3-input AND gate. So 3 and it's an SOIC 14. The designator, I'm going to call it U question mark. U is the universal reference designator for integrated circuits. Question mark makes it so Altium can give it a number to replace that question mark when you annotate the schematics. And then for comment, I always just hide it. I never use it. Okay, down here, I'm going to add all the parameters to the part first. I think there's 5 I usually do. I'll just add 5 right away. Okay, so the first one is manufacturer. The second one is manufacturer part number. This is for the BOM information. The next is DigiKey part number. And then footprint. And then part description. All right, so it's this guy here. On the DigiKey page, you can just select on the right side over here and copy. I always do the DigiKey part number that's for mass production. In this case, it's tape and reel. Others might be trays or tubes. That's the part number I copy. And then, by the way, to get back between screens, I'm hitting the Alt key and then hitting Tab. And that jumps between your most 2 recent windows. Okay, so I copy the DigiKey part number, Control V to paste it. The manufacturer is TI, I'll copy that. Manufacturer part number. And then footprint, it's in a 14 SOIC. And then the part description comes from here. 3-channel AND gate. Okay, so we're missing a footprint. I'll deal with that later. I'm going to save the schematic library. I think I'm going to call this... I'll actually just call it by the part number because I'm only going to put this part in it. And it's going to go in my test folder that I made. All right, so we have that. Now let's make the footprint. So we're going to do P to place a pin. And then I'm going to hit Tab so I can come over here and give it the appropriate names and numbers and all that. I already have the data sheet up for the schematic symbol because, like I said, I did this 3 times already. This is my 3rd time. Okay, so we're going to start with the first part, which is J. J equals A, B, and C. So J is an output. J is pin 9. Down here, I always like to do custom settings for the font for both the name and the designator. I like them to be consoles and size 8. That way everything's uniform. Consoles is very readable, and size 8 is about as small as you want to go. Okay, so I'll just place that down. I'm going to hit Tab again. So that was J. Now I need A, B, and C. A and B is 1 and 2, and C is 8. So 1, 2, and 8 is A, B, C. So 1, A, and this is an input. Oh, it's a lowercase a. Put cap locks on. There. So now this pin is in the wrong direction. I'm going to hit X to flip it in the X dimension. So that's A. I'm just going to pop them down there. 1, 2, and 3. It automatically increments the number. So now this is B, and then this one is C, but it was pin 8. Whoops. The name is B. The designator is 2. So pin 1, 2, and 8. 1, 2, and 8. All right. And now the power pins. So PP for pin again. Place pin. Tab. come over here. Designator is 14. The name was VDD. And electrical type is power. Rotate it using spacebar. Okay. Now, I want the name and the designator to be rotated. So I'm going to come down here. Custom position. Orientation's 90 degrees. Custom position. Orientation's 90. All right. I'm going to copy that. Control V to paste. Flip it in the Y direction using the Y key. And then now this is I'll call it ground. It's VSS. And it's pin 7. Pin 7's VSS. Okay. So now we need the symbol outline. So we go to place, IEEE symbols, and gate. Okay, I don't like that it's thin or red. I'll go small and black. There. Drag that pin over, drag that one down. Copy all, or move all of it to center. There we go. So that's our first gate in this 3-part array. I'm going to copy it, except for, I'm going to hold in the shift key now to deselect the power pins because I don't want to copy those. Control C is copy. So now we're going to do tools. Instead of doing new component, we're going to do new part. And that made this little drop down. We now have part A and B. Tools, new part. Now we have a C. So I'll just paste the same part for part A for B and C, and then I'll change the numbers. So now JK. This one's K6. 6K. D, E, and F. D, E, F. D, E, F is 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. All right. Part B is done, and then C is L. L is 10. G, H, and I. G, H, I. G, H, I is 13, 12, 11. 13, 12, 11. All right, so now we have the schematic symbol and the BOM information done. Now we need to get the footprint ready. Okay, so I'm going to right-click on the project name, add new to project, PCB library. I'm going to file, save as, and I'll just call SOIC underscore 14 underscore test. All right, save. I'm going to change the component to SOIC-14. Okay, so now I'm going to go here. This is the footprint from the same data sheet. Okay, I'm going to use quite a bit of shortcuts here, so I'm going to try to slow down and show you how I do it. The pin is 0.55 millimeter. The pad, I should say, is 0.55 millimeter by 1.5. So I'm going to hit P for place, P for pad. I'm going to hit tab so I can go to the properties over here. We're in mils. I'm going to go to millimeter. So I'm going to hit Q. That changes it to millimeter, and then tab again. This first pin will be pin 1. The X and Y are already correct. And then I'm going to paste it right in the middle. X is 0, Y is 0. And then I'm going to cut it. Okay, so now I'm going to do pasting an array. And you do that by E and A. Hit the E key and then the A key. for paste special. You can also do it by hitting edit, paste special. And then you hit paste array. The item count is 7. We want 7 pins. We want them to be linear, and the spacing is 1.27, which is directly from the datasheet, 1.27. Okay, right back on 0, 0. We now have pins 1 through 7 done. I'm going to move it to the left to center it on pin 4. So that's 1.27 times 3. 3.81. So highlight everything, move it to the left, 3.81. And then don't move it in the Y. Okay. So now there's another row, 5.4 millimeters north of this. So I'll copy all of that. Highlight it. I want to keep it highlighted. And then I'm going to paste right on top of it. The original is still highlighted. I'm going to hit M for move. And we're going to move it by XY. And we're going to move it 5.4 millimeters up. Now I'm going to move everything down by half of 5.44. So highlight it, M, X. So I'm going to move it minus 2.7 millimeter. And now it's centered. But our pinout is wrong up here. It goes 1 through 7. This should be 8 through 14. So I'm going to highlight that. And I'm going to hit Control X to cut. And I'm going to reference it to the middle pin down here. And then Control V to paste. And now I'm going to hit the X key to flip it. So now on the right side it'll be pin 1, the left side will be pin 7. And then I'll paste it right back referencing pin 4. So they're in the same spot. I just flip the designators around. And now I'm going to highlight them again and come up here to designator. Click on the 3 dots. Go to formula and hit exclamation point plus 7. And the exclamation point references the pin number that it already has and then adds 7 to it. So now we have 8 through 14. I could have went through and manually just said, okay, that's pin 8, 8. You know, this one's pin 9, 9. But once you get in the habit of those shortcuts, it goes a lot quicker. All right, I'm going to save that. Now we want to reference what is pin 1. I'm going to make it a rounded rectangle shape so it's different than the rest, so it's kind of easier to see just looking at the copper. And then I'm going to hit P for place, S for string, and then tab, so I can come over here. I just want to call it 1, and I want it to be on the top overlay. And I like it to be 60 mil. It's readable, but it's not too big. All right. And now we're going to place a body, so PB for place body. Hit tab to come over here, and then generic, and then choose. So now you would go to 3D Content Central. You type in SOIC 14 in search. Pick the one you want. Select a step file. Oops. Step. And then hit download. And it'll come down here as a file. Wherever you save it to, it'll go. Then I drag it over to wherever folder I want it to be. In this case, it was here. Open. Okay, and it's obviously rotated. A lot of them come in this way. So you just click on it and then rotate it to where it needs to be. And then even more, in some cases, parts are not on the same plane that they need to be, the surface of the board. So you can either just play with the standoff height until you get it right, or you can find a part that's supposed to be flat on the surface of the board. You highlight the chip or whatever part, hit Tools, 3D Body Placement, and then Align Face with Board. And then you click on that part of the model. It highlights it green, and then you click the same spot again, and now that is on the face of the board. And you can actually see at 0 it looked right, but it actually wants to be off a little bit right there. That's on the face of the board. And I think it's off that much because I don't know why there's a gap. I'm not quite sure. But that's what the PCB library considers flat on the board. Then you highlight the part and you can rotate it wherever it needs to be. Set it on the pads. You can also come down here to View Configuration and then go View Options and click on Orthographic. And now you're looking straight down. It's as if you're looking straight down on every point. Whereas if you're perspective, you can kind of see there's some dimensionality to it. Orthographic gets rid of that. So you hit 0, so it goes straight down. And then you can really make sure every pad is correct. I'm going to hit 2 to go back to two layer, 2D. Yeah, that's good right there. Back to the data sheet. Scroll up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put the silk screen in place. So the body of the chip is a maximum of 8.75 millimeter. 8.75 divided by 2. I'm just going to copy that number. Come back to the board file. Hit place, P for place, L for line, and then tab. I like to use 8 mil for line widths for this sort of thing. Layer, I want it to be the top overlay. All right, so I'm going to jump to the location. JL is jump to location. Minus 4.375 millimeter. And I'll just start it at 0. I'm going to click and then click right away again. So it goes in the right spot. Now, sometimes it starts off with the wrong form of line. You know, it won't go perfectly straight here. I can't make it go straight because the grid is not right. So you hit Shift Spacebar, and it changes the line type. And now it goes perfectly straight. So I'm just going to put a line down. And I'm going to come back to it. Hit Q to go back to metric. I know the X is correct, but the Y is not right. So the Y, the body, can be 4 millimeters maximum. So I will go up 2 millimeter and down to minus 2 millimeter. Now that line's in the right spot. And I'm going to copy it. I want to reference it to pin 1, but I'm not on pin 1's layer. So I'm going to hit the minus key. And you can see down on the bottom, I'm on top overlay. Hit minus mechanical 1, minus I'm on bottom layer now, minus again, I'm on the top layer. So I'm copying that line with reference to pin 1. And I want to paste it over on pin 7, but it's on the wrong side. I'm going to hit X to flip it in the X direction. And there we go. So now we have the library component for the footprint done. PCB library. I just called it SOIC-14. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to save this file and go back to the library. And now up here, see footprint. There's nothing there. I'm going to hit Add Footprint. And then I'm just going to paste, Control V, paste that name in there, and it shows up. If there were other libraries in your PCB library folder over here in the project tree, it might choose another one in another library that's also called SOIC-14. So you got to make sure you're choosing from the right one. I'll hit OK. Now it's linked. I'm going to hit Save. So now you can go to Schematic Library, choose Part A, and hit Place. And it automatically comes to your schematic. You place the first one in the array. You click again, it places the second. Click again, it places the third. And then you can place another chip if you wanted, etc. and so on. We only want one. So now it's called UA, U question mark A, and B and C. To give it a real name, it's TAB U. For tools, annotate, and then U is annotate schematics quietly. That's the one I always use. There are 3 to change, and now it's U1A, U1B, U1C. I'm just going to save, I'll call it test 1. Yeah. Oh, it made another schematic sheet. It goes to the last schematic sheet you had open. If there's not one open, it opens up another one. So I'll just put it in our project tree, or our schematic. Close. Okay, there you go. So now the libraries that you would use is this library and this PCB library. The schematic library now has a reference to the PCB library.